here we are at the MYM, and it dropped considerably last night. You can see on the 1 hour chart here, the lighter bands here are the overnight hours, and it dropped overnight a lot here. And actually, you can see that here as well. There's just not a whole lot of trading going on in the evenings with this one. So we are still looking at the Fibonacci lines as being fairly relevant, and it has kind of broken through that 50% line. And so I'm thinking now that we've broken through all kinds of supports, and it's probably going to continue to head down for a while now. However, this is a really bad time to get in because in the zigzaggy pattern that it forms in going down, I think we're about ready for an up leg. So I went ahead and got in a long, actually, with a very minimal requirement of where I thought it might go. And this trade, if it did go that way, would be a great trade for me. It would make a fair amount of money. So it's just quite risky because it is downtrending, and you probably want to wait for a short. So, and I'm not terribly shocked, it did drop. And unfortunately, I did keep hanging on there. So my first trade, I'm in a loss position here of like $44 already, and keep waiting for it to turn. I feel like the MACD is so low right here. It's got to come up. Even if it came up to this point, it would be fine. But it kept dropping, and I kept hanging on as well. So I'm really sorry that I didn't just hold on and wait to get into a short position at this point, because this is pretty downtrending. So still kind of waiting. I do think it's probably going to pop up at some point, and at that point I will reverse whatever point that happens to be, and it probably will be a loss the first trade no matter what. Okay, this is looking pretty good. We've got our first green candle here, and the opening bell happened about 6 minutes ago. And so we'll often see a change in direction at the opening bell. So I'm very hopeful that it will go up, and I'm hoping it will go up a good long ways. Okay, it kind of hit that orange line and kind of petered out a little bit. So I've whittled back some of the losses. Now we're at a loss of 72, which is pretty big for me. That's a lot. That would be a really big day's trading for me, and I don't get those very often. That's about 2 days of trading loss there for me. So I'm really hoping that it will come back up, and I really would like for it to come up at least to this point here. And this is looking actually very promising because we are forming the SMAs into a kind of a golden cross, they call it. Perhaps that's as far up as it's going to go. So I went ahead and put in my reverse order at that point. The MACD has already gone up quite a bit, and it's starting to lose momentum. I decided it probably was not worth my while waiting for it to get up any further, and I've whittled my losses back to $48. So that's a little more within the reasonable range. I think I can make that up still at this point. So yep, just trying to reverse here. So I'm in a short, and it went up a little bit further, like naturally. That's how it always goes, isn't it? You get into a position and then it goes the other way. But it did kind of peter out, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to drop here now. And so I walked away for the day, actually, thinking that it was going to drop, and sure enough, it did. And I got out at a $54 profit for the day in 2 trades. So I'm super happy with today's trading, even though it didn't start out real good. And you can see my trades here. The first one, ignore the last one because the way the account works, the way it's set up, it sweeps my earnings into an equities account. It doesn't keep it in my futures account. And so this looks like a loss trade, but I didn't trade that. That's just what I made for the day. So anyway, the first one was a $48 loss, and then the second trade was a $94 profit. So that was pretty awesome. All right, I actually did some better calculations for that, and this is actually what I've made for the day. So now for the paper trading. This is going to be like backtracking a little bit. We're going to see the same things going on because I was trading these simultaneously. So this is the ES, and I'm trading one contract of this, and so I'm aiming for more like $250, $300 a day. All right, so again, I was seeing a swooping sort of leveling out and possibly going up sort of motion here, which is what affected me, just so you know, with the very first trade that I made on the other one, because I thought the drop was kind of leveling out and that it would go up. And if you look over here, well, let's see. I didn't actually draw a line across there, but it kind of looked to me like we'd already hit kind of this support right here. Even though overnight it did break through the bottom of that channel and it is dropping pretty badly. So I did a long on this one as well, and kind of realized as we were going along that it just was not going very well. I was hoping that it would get up at least to this point, but it kind of leveled out. And so at a $250 loss right here, I was kind of determining that, yeah, I probably wanted to do a reverse on this one as well. So I was waiting for it to go up, and you can see the MACD is already starting to level off, and you can see the dark green candles here. So I've whittled my losses back to about 125. And here I did a reverse order. I actually placed, I clicked this button up here, which puts in a market order. So it kind of takes it at whatever it happens to take it at. I don't really have a whole lot of control about where it executes. It's just going to be the current price, whatever that happens to be. So I reversed at this point, and it's kind of the lower part of this zigzaggy pattern, but the MACD is looking like it's going to drop, and everything else is kind of pointing to that direction. So I'm not too worried at this point. Okay, and I went ahead and put my order in down here, and that is actually where the bottom of this is. I kind of figured that's probably where it was going to go for the day. And that's kind of a big trade there. So I didn't really hang on to it as long as all that. It dropped down, and it looks like I got out. And then I got into a long position. So I'm trading a lot more frequently with this one. I'm not wanting to hang on to trades very long. Since I can make, $100 pretty easily with one trade, losing $5 in commissions is not that big of a deal. So I tend to get in and out a lot quicker with these. So we're still kind of looking at this pretty strong downtrend right through here. And though it has leveled out right here, I don't know that that's sustainable. So anyway, we'll see. It did go up, and it got out, and actually I got back to zero. So I haven't lost anything for the day, except for my 3 trade commissions with about $15, $17, something like that. Okay, and I decided to get into a short at this point. And looking at just the SMAs here, it does look like it's probably going to go up, but that downtrend is still pretty strong, and the MACD is pretty high over here, and it looks like it's probably going to drop. And the RSI is also pretty high as well. So I got into a short, and it went up. And I'm doing almost exactly the same things on the real money, the YMYM, as I did on this one. I got into a I got into a short, and it went up, and I could have held on a little bit longer, but oh well. So we're still not at a huge big loss right here. So I did a short, and then I decided to reverse at this point and get into a long. And thought, okay, well, it may be trickling up a little bit. And we can kind of see over here, this is a pretty good ceiling level right here that it might go to, possible. And so it went up and then dropped back down, and then kind of it's holding on that gold SMA right through there. It's holding. but it's having trouble getting above that point. So I went ahead and put an exit order pretty low right here. And this is about where I decided, yeah, I think it's probably going to drop. I got out at a very small profit right there. And then I got into a short here because it looked to me like we had hit that ceiling and I thought perhaps it was going to be dropping. And it did drop down a bit here. And we got out at a very small profit right there. And that was it. And so I'm not sure if this is actually a correct number at this point. But it might have been more like $62.50 that I made there. Anyway, at any rate, I made a little bit of money on that one, not a lot. So thanks for joining me.